Hey everyone, today I am here with my friend Sacred Thomas, and I am really excited on many levels because not only is Sacred a really fun person to chat with, he is definitely a person where you are going to want to go look them up on Instagram, but you're also going to want to prepare yourself first because you will have a fear of missing out when you look at his stuff. Like it does inspire FOMO because he lives this amazing life doing things with his profession and his career. And I just can't wait for you to learn more about who he is as a person and to also hear about his fabulous life. So, Sacred, welcome. So excited you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, so I kind of I guess, led into a little bit about how you're a fabulous person and all that. So tell everybody just a little bit about, who you are, what brought you to this point and what you do.
Sure. So my name's Sacred Thomas, and I was actually originally born in Miami, Florida. I was raised there by my dad, who he's an actor. He was actually on the show Miami Vice back in the '80s,
Yep.
and my mom was also a model. So was raised in Miami. I ended up moving to Texas at the age of 14. Frisco, Texas. Went to school down there, and once I graduated high school, I moved down to San Marcos, where I met you.
Yeah.
I went to school down there. I started a party bus company while I was in school, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
I actually was running it while simultaneously going to school, and it came to a point where I was actually starting to fail out of some of my classes because I was so focused on the business rather than actually class. So I just made the decision to drop out and just do business full time.
Mhm.
And ran that company for 7 years
Yeah.
before I started asking myself a question. If time or money were no object, what would I spend my time doing?
Oh,
And I started asking myself that question repeatedly for about 2 years. And finally, the answer was I would travel and I would film. So I bought a camera,
hmm.
learned how to use it on YouTube, and now that is all I do. I
Yeah.
travel and I film.
It's so awesome. And that's why I wanted to hear you say it, because if they just went to your Instagram now, they would just be like, this dude, he just lives this amazing life. And they wouldn't necessarily know what it took for you to get here. And you did have to make some really hard choices and really think about it. Just even that decision. Well, like you say, the move to Texas and the change of your family and different things, but then even being in school and really making that choice when your business did start to do so well, that's a hard decision that, there's so much shame attached to it. Like if you're going to leave school and what do I do if the business doesn't go off? But, you really taking that leap of faith in yourself. And then yet again, another leap of faith to recognize, okay, yes, I have money and I have success, but what do I want to do? And I think it's just so powerful that you were like, this is it. And not only did you say, this is what I want to do, you invested in yourself, time, money, all of those things to make this a reality. And now that's why I get so excited to look at where you are and to see what you're doing, because I know what went into that. None of that was just like, oh, I'm
Right,
going to go travel. Like it was several stages in the process. So yeah,
absolutely.
so how hard was that? Like, did you just trust in yourself, or was it kind of like you had to really think through it?
Well, it's funny. You actually said that there was some shame attached. That there was probably like 1% shame. So I'm not really the person who's going to say don't go to school. There's definitely reasons to go to school, go to college, and I don't regret it. I would do it all over again. I made so many connections, met so many different people, but at the same time, the way that I was raised
Mhm.
was to really follow your dreams. Period. It's and
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're going to spend the majority of your life
Hmm.
working to support yourself, your family,
Yeah.
the people around you. So you might as well enjoy what you do. So even as a kid, whenever they ask what do you want to be? You want to be a fireman or a cop or a doctor? None of that actually, none of the normal jobs really made sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, so I would always I guess just even in my head, just ask myself that question. I said I did it in a span of 2 years, but I would just always be thinking about what it is, is my purpose. So, when something finally clicked, it was really easy.
I'm going to make all my students listen to that and listen to this because, first of all, I'm glad there wasn't shame attached to it because that's what so many of them are working through. And that's why it was the first thing that came to my mind. There's so much pressure. What are you going to do? What are you going to be? And so much of that pressure is tied to money in our society.
Yeah.
That's what success is, right? And so I see so many kids in college who are just, really haven't found their passion or their purpose yet. And they're hoping that through their degree, that's going to bring them to the job that's going to show them their passion or purpose. And it scares me, it makes me nervous that that's the model that we've created. So to hear you talk about it that way and being raised in an environment that didn't frame it that way, to then give you that powerful tool to be able to think through that and really know that that was an okay decision. Like, that's
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they just as a kid, we're told to go down this cookie cutter path. And somewhere along the line, we're kids are dreamers, we try to make believe everything. And somewhere down the line, we lose that. We're saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. But at the end of the day, if you can get good at something, you can make money from it. There's tons of people. There's over 7 billion people on this earth. There's tons of people who have the same interest as you. And especially now with the power of social media, you're
Yes.
able to kind of cut out the middleman, and do a lot of things and grow your own brand and do the things that you actually love to do.
Yes. I love it's so funny that you said that because just today I was thinking about like how I was going to intro you in the beginning and stuff. And I was like thinking about how you're a dreamer. That's like how I was going to describe you.
Yeah.
You are because you dream about the things that you want, and then that's how you work toward these things that you create into fruition. And I don't think you lost that. And you're right. So often we lose that. We lose that childlike spirit or that thing that pushes us because then it becomes attached to, like you said earlier, the financial pressures of, supporting yourself or a family and things like that. And so somewhere along the line, dreams become tied to, is it going to make money? And it's
Right.
like then getting back to what was the dream, what were you good at, where was the passion, and then using that to make money and not getting stuck in the model of like what that has to look like either. It can look like buying a camera, getting good at it, and then going and filming all these events. Because talk to us about some of the places. What are some of the favorite places that you've gotten to go?
So off bat, Egypt is one of my favorite places. I kind of got lucky with that one. I have a cousin that does a yearly trip to Egypt. And right in the beginning, when I was getting started in this, he asked me to come along and basically film the trip. He had 10 people going out there, and he wanted me to film and just document the whole thing and create a promotional video that he can use to use every year for the next trips. And then I think Tulum was also one of my favorite ones. I was able to actually film a guy named Fletcher Cleaves over there. So Fletcher is a inspirational speaker. He travels all over the U.S. And the world. His story is he was actually a college football player. He got a full ride scholarship, and right before he was supposed to start, he gets into this bad car accident. This girl was actually texting and driving, and runs him off the road, and now he's paralyzed from the neck down. And his story it inspired me because when I was actually filming him, I did not realize all that it took for him to actually travel and do the things he does. But for someone to be paralyzed from the neck down, for someone to be a college athlete to be completely paralyzed and rebound from that and now travel all over the world speaking. After spending so much time with him, I'm like, I can't have any excuses.
Yeah.
You, he has issues getting around just normally. Just you can get up and walk away, You get up and walk to the bathroom. He needs help going to the bathroom. He needs help getting on a plane. He needs help getting off of a plane. If we're going to the beach, he needs someone. He can't roll through that himself, so he needs someone to help him.
Yeah.
But for him to be able to gather around the loved ones, the family, and the team to help him still travel, that was one of my most inspirational things I've filmed.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, you inspired me to want to reach out to him to see if he would be willing to come on and share some of his story also. And, Saker, just hearing you talk, that's what you do. And I think that that's why you're so passionate about filming is you tell other people's stories through your videography. You help them share their dreams and share their lives. And that's why what you capture behind the camera is so magical. Like when you watch what you filmed, you can feel the excitement. Or I love watching the videos of you filming, actually, because
yeah.
yes, I do, because I know you and I can see it. I can see you in your flow. I can see you on, like, the energy comes through. And so that's why you are so good at what you do, because you're just in your flow. It's awesome. So I can
I
see where that was a
appreciate that.
really great project for you to work on too.
I
So, okay.
appreciate that.
So because your work is so immersive like that, and you're also traveling, does it ever get overwhelming? Do you ever feel like you need to step away, or are you just so in it that it fuels you all the time?
Oh, I definitely get overwhelmed. I try to do a lot. I try to do a lot, and one of the things I need to get better at is really delegating tasks. But just I think my thing is I'm starting to learn to say no to things. Because especially when I first started this, people ask, what do you want to film? Do you want to film fitness? Do you want to film weddings? Do you want to film documentaries? I want to figure out what my favorite thing is to film. And so I've just been filming everything.
Mhm.
And so when everyone asks me what's like my specialty, I have a couple different things, like fitness as one of the things I started with, and travel videos, one of
Mhm.
my passions. But besides that, I'm still learning. I started professionally in February 2019. That's not a long time.
Mhm.
It's been 2.5 years. So um, I'm still learning and I'm still growing.
It's interesting to hear you say that too, though, about, that you're wanting to try all these different things so you can find which one you are really passionate about, which one you're like. And I admire that, because I think that that's one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur too. And that's what I've struggled with, is that there are so many things that I'm just trying to decide what I like about it, or, where I want my focus to lie. And then there are people, other business people say like, well, what is it? Who's your clientele? What's your customer? What's your message? Where do you want to go?
Right.
And so I found myself kind of almost being shut down creatively, because I felt so much pressure, like I had to make a decision or a client avatar or whatever it was,
Right.
instead of like,
Absolutely.
instead of just being able to sit with it and really say exactly what you just said. It's like, well, you know what? I kind of want to try all these things because I don't yet know which one I'll like. And that doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
trying to be wishy-washy about it. And it might mean I like them all, which that's kind of what happens to me too, is I'm like, oh, but I like
Right.
this is fun. So that's what
Yeah.
that's though, like, too. So part of that entrepreneurial spirit then is like, all right, dialing that in and figuring out, even if you like all the things, which ones can you delegate, or how can you open that
Right.
up, but like not give all your energy to 100 things. And that's a really hard thing to kind of learn and work through and understand too.
Absolutely. And really, as my social media has grown, it's gotten even harder to do. Just because now that I know you mentioned my Instagram, but I grew my TikTok to
Yeah.
it's at about 171,000 people right now. And it'll be a year in January, I believe.
Wow.
So just with that new level of attention, and to actually be able to grow it from 0 to 171,000,
Wow.
I've had to put in almost full-time effort to actually do that. You're posting 4 to 6 videos a day to
Wow.
get to that point.
Wow.
So but It's all part of the process.
But I'm glad to hear you talk about that, because that is
Yeah.
something that I struggle with too, the social media. And that's so funny because I've watched your TikTok videos on Instagram because I'm still like worried that I'll like get so consumed with TikTok that I'll never do anything else. So I like,
Isn't everybody?
yeah, I have too negative of a personality to like go down that hole right now. But that's what, you're right. It's that model of business where you need to be active and engaged, and you want to grow your followers and your fan base, because then that leads to other jobs and all these things. But the social media inside of itself can become so consuming, especially if you are trying to, engage with the people who are then watching your videos and things like that. So yeah, do you feel like, how did that work for you? Were you just like excited about the different videos, and then it just kind of grew organically, or how did you go about getting the mass followers?
Well, so I actually had a TikTok, I don't know, maybe a year before that, and I tried it. I posted some stuff that I've already had on Instagram, and wasn't getting much traction. So I was just like, oh, this is dumb. This is dumb. I just stopped using it. And
Yeah.
then my sister, she posted some stuff on there, and it started going. Her stuff started going viral, and she's like, "Yo, you need to get on TikTok." Like, I'm like, "Okay, I'll try it again." And this time I tried it, and I actually researched. I'm like, "Okay, how to grow on TikTok?"
Yeah.
And I ran into this guy named Robert Benjamin, and he had a free online course. By the way, I'm like, that's what I do. I take online courses. Like if I need to learn something, I do that or figure it out on YouTube. But I found him, and I took his free course and used the information that I got from there to grow from 0 to 10,000.
Wow.
And once I got to 10,000, I'm like, okay, well, he has a paid version, so let me go ahead and buy this and see what I can do. And then basically the fundamentals that I learned from his course is what I've used to grow to where I'm at now.
That's awesome.
And the
That's
ultimate goal, the ultimate goal with that is, I want to grow to over 1 million followers.
mhm.
And the reason for that is I know some people over that hump, and you have a to me that it's you have a freedom of choice. You've already built your own brand. Brands are reaching out,
Yep.
and you're able to charge a
Mhm.
substantial amount of money for posts. So you're really able to kind of create what you want to create, as long as you create within, you grow your brand within what it is that you love to do.
Right. Yes. You're growing the brand in the way that it's things you love to do. And I love that again, what did you do? You invested in yourself. You took the time. You're like, okay, I want to learn how to do this. So I'm going to take this free course, which is awesome. And that's why I'm so excited. I'm going to put courses up on my website too, just exactly for what you're saying. There are so many things that people can learn to do, or enhance their lives in ways. There's free things, there's paid versions. It's really just committing and being willing to take the time to do that, right? So once again, what did
Absolutely.
Edward do? He took the time, invested in himself, and then he's like, yep, this is working, so I'm gonna throw a little money at it because I'm worth
Yeah.
this investment. And that's what I
Mhm.
think too, is what you're doing. Those are the solid business steps that so often as entrepreneurs people don't take. They think, oh, I shouldn't spend money if I'm not making money yet, or I don't want to take a class because it's taking away from this, instead of looking at how those things are also part of it. Part of it is that continued growth and that exploration,
Mhm.
and the ways that you can keep, aligning with your purpose, like you're saying, but expanding your reach.
Right. And it actually goes into, you're talking about me taking these courses. It's, I dropped out of school. I didn't stop learning.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's, if anything, I started learning more, and I became even more hungry to learn. So I just started learning the things that I was interested in.
Yes. And that's the thing, is like, I always tell my kids are always giving me crap because I'm always like, I'm learning about this or I'm becoming that. And it's really just, I say I'm a lifelong learner. I like the idea of learning about new things and expanding my mind. And it's what's brought me to meet so many people. Like, I think about the ways that you and I connected and have had these conversations. And it's all through, wanting to learn about new things or new interests. And I think that
Right.
that's something so important, because that's where two people feel stuck sometimes, I think. Whereas if you just kind of realize maybe you're stuck right here, right now, but think about all these other possibilities, you don't even know what you might want to do or what you could do or what a new hobby could be or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So growing this TikTok follow and getting all that, I mean, do you basically need somebody full time to start managing this for you, right? Because you can't keep everything going with that and then actually having to go on jobs and everything, right?
Eventually, I probably need somebody, but right now, I still do manage, but maybe over 500K. We'll see. It's what
Yeah.
I guess what I feel the worst about is that, I used to answer every DM. I can't. I can't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. But
that's sometimes I feel bad about, I'll post something and then, I know some people are trying to reach me, but I just can't get to them.
yeah.
So I try to tell people to email me. That's the best way to reach me, and also the best way to weed out the people that are serious.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, because that goes
yeah.
back into the time management. Because how do you manage that feeling of being overwhelmed and burnt out, when it is something, especially like that, because social media is kind of omnipresent. It's not like there's a working hours for it.
Right. um just take a breath. I remember to breathe. I remember to, sometimes I'll just take a couple minutes and just breathe and get back to it. I don't know. I don't know if it's in my blood or what, but I'm I love to work and I love what I do. So, that when I do get overwhelmed, I just remember that, I remember the ultimate goal, and I also in my head I just try to figure out, okay, obviously worrying isn't going to help.
Hmm.
So what are the actionable steps I can take to
Yeah.
take the next thing off of my plate?
Yeah. Hmm.
So, it's pretty simple, nothing like crazy.
But I think like what's important for people to recognize too is that there's a difference between being a workaholic and like I'm working, getting burnt out, versus like when you're working so much and feeling because it's inspiring you and refueling you. And so often that's what you're working so much because it's inspiring you and refueling you. So then you don't want to stop because you are so much
Right.
in passion and purpose. And I think that that's what such a big part of this message is like
Yeah.
working to find your passion and purpose, because then all of a sudden, like I honestly am at work all the time because I see my work in so many different things, and that in no
Hmm.
way upsets me. It excites me. It makes me fuels me creatively. And so even when I go take space for myself, oftentimes I'll start thinking about work because I'll be like
Yeah. Yeah.
in a good way, because I'll be like
Yeah. Yeah.
pressing and then I'll be like, oh, and that allows those creative ideas to come in, right?
Yeah.
But that's because I feel like I am in my passion and purpose with where I am at work, right? Versus I've had times in my life where I've just been working because I have to complete a project or do something, and then I'm feeling stressed and I'm at work all the time, and why I need a vacation or I need to get away. I don't feel that anymore because now my work is more fun to me again. And so I think that that's where what you're saying, you said, I guess it's just in my blood. It's like, no, I think it's because you're in your purpose. You're in your purpose. And then
Hmm.
that's what's fueling you. So even just stopping to take a breath, resetting, that's all it takes, right? And that is not simple advice. It's like the best advice ever, because taking
Yeah.
that breath is like resetting your nervous system, giving your mind a second to slow down. And so often when we're worried or anxious, that's what's happening. Our body's getting ahead of our mind and our mind is taking off.
Right.
So it's like what you said is, recognizing that the worry isn't helping. So what are actionable things I can do? And
Absolutely.
yeah, you just said amazing advice. What do you mean it's so simple? It was awesome.
I guess when you do it for so long, it just seems pretty mundane. But I realized that, you know, a lot of people they have these big goals and the places that they want to get to, but we got to realize that we all have to go through the process to get there. So, you're gonna have to fail a couple times to get to the next step. And, a lot of people give up before that happens, but you just don't have necessarily the mindset that you need just yet to get there. So you have to keep trying, and
Yep.
yep.
And that's so hard sometimes to recognize too, because we want things that when we want them, or when we do have dreams or visions, we then tend to have expectations attached as to what that should look like. Right. And I was
Right.
just saying to one of my friends last night that something I had thought about and wanted is kind of like unfolding, but it looks different than what I thought it would look like. And I was just saying that if I could let go of how I thought things should look like and just recognize that this idea is going to happen, it would be so much
Mhm.
less stressful, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I think that that's what, going back to the being the dreamer, like you were saying, is that, it's that advice of being the dreamer, but then also recognizing that that doesn't mean that those dreams happen overnight. That doesn't mean that they happen with, just out of thin air. It's like you have to, and I don't even want to say you have to work hard. That's not what I'm trying to say, like work, work, work. It's more about how are you working and what lessons are you taking from those setbacks and things like that.
Exactly.
And I think that that's important because, like you say, it is hard sometimes to look at people who are at a certain level and know that that's where you want to be, but then not necessarily know what it took them to get there, and thinking that it was just, something they didn't have to work for or achieve.
Absolutely.
Do you get a lot of people reaching out to you now, since you have so many followers, asking for like business advice or how to grow their followers or?
I do, yeah. I try, and I definitely try to help out when I can.
Mhm.
I mean, I've definitely had a lot of people reach out to me about, hey, I want to become a photographer, or I want to become a videographer. So, I'll point them to the same resources that I use.
Good. And that's something, so that's what I was going to ask you is like, is it hard sometimes, because I know you do have so many resources that you've used, but then you also put out a lot of content showing people how you do things. So, do you have a kind of a standard that you tell people? Because basically sometimes people want free advice from you when you really, what they're asking you to do is coach them on how to build their business, right?
Right. Well, I mean, so it's especially when they're trying to build their social media, I just point to Robert Benjamin.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't get paid to point to him or anything, but I just know that his system worked for me. So I send them the links that I used, and I tell them, I use this free program to get to my first 10,000, and then if you like that, go ahead and pay for it. But what I have noticed is that I'll send it and they won't watch it.
Oh, yeah.
So and that's not going to stop me from
Yeah.
actually still giving the
Mhm.
information out there, but it just shows it. I mean, people want things a lot, but you still have to put in the work,
Yeah.
and watching a free course is just the beginning, the beginning of that process.
Right. And that's so I actually I kind of spouted off a little bit about this to a friend recently, because I have so many friends who were saying, well, I read this book or I did that, but I don't feel any better or nothing changed. It's like, you can't just read them. You got to work at it. You got to take
Yeah.
the material, you got to absorb it, you got to reflect, you got to think about what that looks like for you. And that's why, it's called doing the work for a reason, right? It's
Yeah.
not like it just happens. And I think that that's true, not only for like healing work, like what I'm talking about, entrepreneurial, social media followings, things like what you're talking about. It's recognizing that even, it is sometimes going to be uncomfortable or difficult or
Mhm.
frustrating, or you're going to have those set blocks or roadblocks throughout all of this, right? But it's then going back to like, if this is your passion or if this is your purpose, or if you really want to heal or whatever it is,
Mhm.
do it, right? Just like do
Yeah.
the damn thing. And it's
Yeah.
like
You have to
getting,
do it every day.
yeah, and showing up for yourself. And I just said that like it was so easy, like just do it. It's not. It's hard to like make that commitment and have that perseverance and have the resilience when you do fail or when things are hard. But I think it's like, again, what you are so good at doing is coming back to yeah, but why am I doing this? It's because this
Yeah.
is my purpose. I'm choosing this because this is what makes me happy. So this is why I'm going to put in this work over here, or I'm going to work these long hours this day, because I know what I'm working toward, for the next step. So I think that's just such a good, your work ethic is just undeniable. You
I appreciate that. I mean, I wish that I could even call it work ethic. Like you said, it's something that I'm passionate about, so I enjoy doing it. I
Mhm,
don't even have to think about it.
mhm. So what advice would you give to people, you're saying like, okay, work at things and, pursue your passion. Do you have, advice for people when they do really feel like I'm hitting roadblocks or I just, what are the things that inspired you to keep going when it was frustrating? Wow. This conversation is full of so many actionable steps to making your dream a reality. I hope this is all resonating, and I hope you have a pen and paper to take notes because it's just that good. I wanted to take a minute and let you know how much I appreciate you clicking play today. Fun fact, did you know that I upload the interviews on YouTube and on podcast platforms? Yes. Search for Being Whole Podcast YouTube channel or where you listen to your podcasts and subscribe to both formats to ensure that you never miss an episode.
Um, my why, my why, just
Mhm.
for me, and this may, everybody's got to figure out what it is that fuels them, but I've really never given myself any other option.
Mm,
So it's, some people, you can have a plan B, or if this doesn't work out, well, then I'll work here or I'll do this. It's just like, if this doesn't work out, then nothing's going to work out. So that's really what fuels me. So I have to figure out, it's kind of like, okay, this may be an extreme example, but if you don't do this, you're going to get pushed off a cliff. I mean, it's, figuratively, like, if I don't keep pushing forward, I don't really have another option. For me, I don't want to work in a corporate world. um
mhm,
I don't want to, I don't want that type of lifestyle. So, like, this is really my only option for doing it.
mhm,
um Now, I will say, I would work for somebody else, in only if I believed in what their mission was
mhm,
and what they're pushing out, what they're doing. If I feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself, I would do that.
mhm.
But as of now, this is my only option.
But I think that that's such an important thing too, is to recognize, what it would look for you. And that's what it would look like for you. For you to choose something different would have to be that, yes, you saw this other thing that you were passionate about that inspired you. Instead, for you, it isn't like, oh, I could make more money over here, so that's the next step. And that, again,
Exactly.
I want to keep going back to that because I think that it is something that we are so fueled in and I get it. I get it. We all need money. We all have to pay our bills. And it's
Yeah.
hard not, especially if you haven't had money in the past, it's hard
Hmm.
not to have that be the driving force to do things. It is,
Absolutely.
but it's like the idea that success doesn't have to just be tied to your financial compensation. And that's
Right.
certainly what happiness is tied to, right? So just even you recognizing like, this is what makes you happy. And so that's why you're going to work at it. And knowing that, because I know other people offer you turn down jobs. There are things that you don't take because it
Yeah.
doesn't align with what you want to do or where you're going. And that's
Mhm.
something to even recognize too. Like even in times where maybe, it's like, okay, should I say yes for money or should I say yes for that? Like you really stay strong in like, this is what I want to do if it doesn't interest you or align with you. And I think
Right.
that's something to really speak on too, because again, when people are looking at people who are successful, they don't necessarily always see all those choices. And you're very
Right.
transparent about, no, these are choices I've made. These are things that I've done because that's your business sense, right? You're going to build your business from your purpose. And that's why I think,
Right.
yeah. So what do you have coming up? Talk to us more about like where we can find you, what's going on in your life.
So you can find me on all social medias at Sacred Thomas, or if you want to go to my website, it's sacredshot.com.
Mhm.
But what I have coming up, so I've got a couple things. So this next week, I'm going to New York,
Oh,
and I'm going to be filming in upstate New York. I've never been there during the fall, so that's going to be, it's going to make some pretty interesting drone shots. I'll be filming a golf course up there.
wow.
And then I'll be back for a couple days, and then I'm going to be doing a vlog in Lisbon, Portugal,
Wow.
and it's actually going to be sponsored by Core Culture. And
Okay.
Core Culture is a a nutrition and supplements company. Right, they're brand new. They're out of Lockhart, and it's you know, I've done brand posts for different brands, but I actually am ambassador for core culture just because they align with my values.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I've been lucky enough for them to say, hey, you know, we know you're doing this vlog in Portugal. We want to sponsor your trip. So it's going to be exciting. Um, but besides that, yeah, I do want to talk about, you know, so video has been my passion, and it continues to be.
Mhm.
But there is something as a kid that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to get into music.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay.
but I can't sing.
Uh-huh.
But I love music.
Mhm.
And you know, audio is a very big part of video.
Yeah.
And I've learned a decent amount about it because of that. And through my travels, you know, I've gone to festivals, concerts, different things like that. And so I invested in actually some DJ equipment.
No way.
Yeah, I'm gonna start DJing. It's actually right next to me. I'll probably hold on.
That's so awesome. I can imagine the energy you're going to bring to places. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what kind of events do you want to DJ, or are you going to be working at?
So got a
Oh
deck.
wow. Okay, that looks awesome.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be doing. So I've always been passionate, not always, but within the past like 6, 7 years, I found electronic music, and
Yeah.
the reason I love it is because it brings together all walks of life, all different types of people. You know, there's a lot of times there's not a whole lot of lyrics, but it's you just kind of vibing to the beat, and you're
Mhm.
just vibing with each other. And then the festivals that electronic music puts on is it's just it's I can't even really describe it, but that's really where I want to go with it. So I want to DJ electronic music. I've been practicing low key,
Yeah.
but you know, just like I taught myself how to do video, I'm gonna do the same thing with this. Just this time, I actually have some people that are willing to help tutor me, so it should be fun. And you know, whether I'm DJing at a club or I'm DJing at a festival, I don't really care. I just want to make music and just, you know, explore another hobby. You know, where it goes, we'll see. But it's something I want to do.
Oh, that's so good. Like, no, because that's another example of you're a
Yeah,
lifelong learner. You're like, yep, I thought about
yeah,
this. I want to do it. So I'm gonna learn,
yeah,
and I'm gonna and it's then it becomes a hobby, but it's a passion and it's something else. Like,
yeah,
yeah, that's so cool. And yeah, the electronic music, it's just the vibe of it. Like you're saying, you
yeah,
feel the energy. And so
yeah.
it's so funny when you see people who don't think they like any of that kind of music, after they just hear it for a while, you'll like notice them like moving a little bit.
Right, yeah.
It's like
That's the goal.
you can't help but like not, like
Yeah,
you're
it
like,
makes you move. It
yeah.
makes you move.
Well, that's super exciting. I love
Yeah.
hearing about that. Okay, now I'm already trying to like think of all the ways we can incorporate this in different things, because now I just also I'm gonna need there to be like some massive party with glow sticks and all the things.
Uh, I got a DJ name now.
Okay, what is it? What is it?
It's gonna be Amadeus.
Amadeus. Okay, tell us about
So,
how you chose that.
well, that's my middle name, or one of them. It's one
Mhm.
of my middle names, and you know, just I was named after Mozart Amadeus, and you know, famous musician composer. So I think it fits.
It totally fits. That's so perfect. I love that. Oh, that's great. Well, and it's so funny you said you're not a singer because your sister is.
Yes, she took all the talent.
Yeah, so how does she feel about you branching into the musical area? I mean,
She's chill about it. Here's the thing, my family like, oh, okay, cool, go ahead and do it. But once you know, once things start popping up, like, oh wow, you were serious. Just like, you know, they support it, but you know, even video kind of took them by storm. You know, it's just once I started actually doing it, that's when my sister's like, oh wow, we can work together.
I
I'm
know
like,
I've
yeah.
seen the
I'm
videos
like,
you've done
yeah,
for
we
her.
could.
Yeah. Yeah, you've done some great videos.
Like,
I'll have to ask her on here too, because she has some really
Yeah.
great, I mean, her social media too, just seeing the different songs that she sung and the different videos she shot. And, that's where, again, I love, I don't like social media that much. This, like, it stresses
Yeah.
me out, but yours is one I'll actually go watch because it makes me happy, because I know that you're out there doing what you love to do. And then you're seeing these beautiful places, and that I then get to see vicariously through you. So I'm excited that now I'll also get to see cool music stuff through you.
That's awesome.
So, okay, I have to also ask you, obviously you do the video stuff and you have now the music, but you're also like really into fashion and everything. You're always posting things about
Oh
different
yeah.
fashion. So like, where does that influence kind of come in for you?
You know, as what after high school, I tried modeling, and I did some things. I did a couple shows, but I don't know, the industry, it didn't, for some reason it didn't agree with me. It was too, I don't know, it was too cutthroat, and
Mhm.
um I just didn't like the energy it brings. So I mean, with social media, I can kind of do my own thing. So I can kind of do my own thing, model what I feel like, what modeling, and I mean that's really that simple. Honestly, when I do my my walk videos with different clothing, if it's not a brand giving me the clothes, then it's my sister styling me. She's actually she's actually a very good stylist. But the goal for that is just to be able to work with different brands and wear cool clothes.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Well, it's working.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a good way too to look at this. When you're thinking about your business and you're thinking about all the things, like everything you do, you're working to build things, and you're doing it in a way, it's clothes you like, it's things you like to do, but you're also looking
Mhm.
at that, like, how does this fit in with my business? And that's something that I think is important too, because it's great to have dreams, and we all have dreams and things we want to do. But yeah, so how can you fuel that? Like you said earlier, how can you take those things and use it as something that's going to make you money, or
Right.
bring you different resources, and just really kind of thinking outside the box in terms of, what could this bring? And you already said it, core culture now sponsoring this vlog that you're doing. And that's a company that aligns with your values. That wouldn't have happened without social media. That wouldn't have
Right.
happened without you
Absolutely.
deciding to take a chance, and then in those types of things. So I think, again, it's like looking at these other things as opportunities or ways that you can promote yourself or build yourself, but do it in a way, you're doing it in a way that's authentic to you, not just in a sellout
Mm.
way that to make money or
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as you bring when you bring up that it all kind of meshes together, it made me think about one day DJing on a stage where the big screen is playing something that I created, and I'm wearing clothes that were sponsored by someone else. It's just, I mean, the possibilities are endless. So it's just, I think it's important for us to always keep dreaming, and
Mhm.
um, better yet, just take actions towards those dreams.
Yep. And that's just,
Yeah.
like visualizing that, thinking about it, and then taking the steps of how can you make that a reality, right? And so often we get caught up and we see, again, the big successful people without then just thinking about, yeah, okay, well, how did they get there? What do those steps look like? And how can I break it down? It's, that even goes back to what you
Yeah.
said earlier. I don't worry about it. I think about what actions I can take. So it's the same thing, right? It's okay. This is this big goal I have. What does it take to get there? And what are the things I can do today in this little step to make me toward the next chunk, or whatever it is? And I think that that's something where, you just mentioned this big dream, but all of the things that you've been doing are the building blocks to that, right?
Right.
And allowing us to look at those things as building blocks and little things we're doing each day that are building. That's why they're building blocks, right? We're building that
Right.
dream, instead of looking at the big dream as like impossible and I'm never going to get there or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so glad that we got the chance to talk today, because you are so busy. When I asked you to be on the podcast, I really was like, okay, in 2023, when Sacred has like, so I'm super jazzed that you were able to come on like so soon, because everyone, we were joking before we got started. Sacred and I get to see each other once a year for sure, because he's the videographer for the TEDx University event. So it's like always exciting to me that I know I have one date in the calendar per year that I will actually get to see him in person. So but I'm just, I'm really thankful that
Uh,
you were able to be here today. I think like what you have to say can really inspire a lot of different people who are, thinking about what their purpose and what their passion is and just wondering even how to go about getting started on that. So, yeah, I'm really appreciative of your time.
well, I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully I can speak to someone out there and help inspire them to actually just go for it.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about or have to say before we sign off for today?
I appreciate you having me on. I think we covered quite a bit. I
We really
appreciate everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. Well, I'll link everything obviously in the show notes and tell
Uh,
everybody where they can find you. And
yeah.
again, thanks for just sharing so many of these different pieces of yourself and being so willing also to share resources and to talk to people about really what's made you get to this point. And if people heard one thing today, I hope it's that they heard that your passion and your purpose is what keeps fueling you.
Yeah.
Because if we can remember that and keep getting back to that, like nobody can take that away, right? Because that's internal and
Nope.
that's inside of you. And so I love that that's the message from today. So thanks again for everything, Sacred. Can't wait to talk to you again.
I appreciate you.
Okay. See ya.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
I had so much fun getting to sit down with Sacred for today's episode. His light truly is inspiring, and I know that the world needs and appreciates his magic. I hope you loved today's conversation as well. Let's get into a few of my takeaways from this chat with Sacred. As Sacred said in today's episode, if time or money were no object, what would I be doing? Ask yourself this often and be open to what it leads to. Never stop dreaming. Always be curious of how you can turn your passion into money. If you're interested in learning how to do something, for example, growing your social media, there is most likely an online course or YouTube video to give you the tools that you need to kick everything off. Working to find your passion and purpose excites you and refuels you to keep repeating the cycle. When you don't give yourself any other option, then it really fuels you to figure it out and make it happen. Your success isn't directly tied to money. Stay strong in your morals and your why. And when you're living in alignment in your business and your life, that's where the true sweet spot of success lies. Thanks, everyone.